Hello fiends and collectors, this is me, Daniel East 1000, back again with another Lord of the Rings figgy review. And in this review, well, I don't have the packaging to show you because I bought this loose. It's one of the more popular figures from the line and a somewhat sought after one at that. You can typically find these loose relatively easy in varying conditions and completeness, but finding one carded can be pulling the proverbial hen's teeth. Nonetheless though, we're going to be taking a look at the Witch King of Angmar, the most metal badass character henchman within the film series. Just touching base on the packaging though, while I don't have this in hand, there were a couple of ways that you could get this figure. There was the single blister package release. Additionally as well, there is a more sought after version of which actually has the flame sword, which was released towards the end of the action figure line. There was also a multi-figure pack with this guy and King Theoden, and then there was also a big gift set pack, I believe it was called Kings of Middle-earth. Those are all the variants that are available of this guy, so if you're a carded collector you've got some hunting to do. Nonetheless though, let's now take a look at the figgy itself.
Sauron has yet to reveal his deadliest servant, the one who will lead Mordor's armies in war. The one they say no living man can kill. The Witch King of Angmar.
So here we have the Witch King of Angmar, of which, like I said, is one of the most badass looking characters in all of Lord of the Rings. So metal, so gothic, and just incredibly intimidating. I absolutely love this figure and the sculpting and detail that they've put into it. Yes, on first glance it's like a solid, black and metal figure, but they've really put some weathering and some really nice sculpts on the robes that the character wears. Granted, I would have probably preferred to have seen soft goods used on this, but the plastic, sort of rubbery material plastic that they've used, works to great effect and really doesn't actually hinder articulation too much. You can get this guy in some relatively decent poses. Just having a look at the head at the top there, it is hollow, so you can recreate the scene.
I am no man.
Stabs him in the face, which is very, very cool. You've got that reef there. That armour plating is just really nicely painted and weathered. Just so, so cool. Turning around to the back, nothing really too much going on there, but lots of tattered robe effect. It's kind of like a scarf thing going on, and you can just see the sheath which you can store the sword into, and then just coming to the bottom, the legs, you can just kind of see those shoes poking out. Those look really cool, really nice armour plating, just really authentic to the character that we see on screen. Something that, again, I absolutely love about this line is how they managed to sneak in a few play features that really didn't detract from the overall aesthetic of the figures themselves. So in terms of this one, there's a button concealed in the back, and when you press that, it's a little bit hard to do because the weapon he's wielding, which is the mace, is very, very heavy, but you can do, when you press the button on the back, a mace flailing action. And that's just absolutely awesome. It does get a little bit caught sometimes on the robing, but that's such a neat play feature they included in there. Additionally as well, you can swap that out for the sword, so you can have a sword slashing action. It's entirely up to you. But that brings us nicely into the accessories, just because he does come with that mace, and it's actually on a chain. That is just absolutely lethal. I would not want to get hit by this, that's for sure. It's really nicely painted and weathered and detailed, just badass. So glad that they managed to include a chain on that thing. And of course you've got the sword as well. Like I did say, you can store that in the sheath. It's relatively basic looking, but very, very cool nonetheless. And I'll just demonstrate that. So the sword does go in there quite nicely and quite securely. Yeah, Really, really cool. Now, I do know that they did do a Fell Beast back in the day. I don't think this is really going to sit on that particularly well, but if you did get that, you could definitely pose this with it. And I know that that goes for quite a pretty penny. Again, it's another one of the more sought after products from the Toybiz line of figures. But no, the Witch King of Angmar just overall aesthetically looks amazing, and surprisingly, it does retain some articulation. So just moving into articulation, there's a little bit of movement in the head. Don't know if it's a ball joint or a ball hinge. At the very least, it is a swivel. It's hard to tell just because of how many bits of plastic robing he's got, but you can swivel the head at the very least. He's got ball jointed shoulders, although they are a little bit limited due to the armour plating. Swivel biceps, and the actual robes do swivel along with that. Hinged elbows and swivel wrists. I'm not too sure about the torso articulation. I don't think there's any swivels in there, but at the very least, in terms of the legs, we can try and show you that. It's really awkward. We'll give it our best shot. In terms of the legs, I think there's at least a swivel in there. I'm going to say swivel. And then there's a hinge. Might even be a thigh swivel in there as well. And then there's hinged ankles. But really, in terms of the leg articulation, this is really got a traffic cone effect, so you're not going to get too much posability from them legs. You've just got enough to kind of get it in a sturdy stance, and that's all you could really need or want with this figure. I definitely think it would have benefited from a soft goods cloak, but yeah, I think the plastic robing still works to great effect. Definitely allowed them to get some of that, you know, tattered detailing and look. Apply some of that weathering there as well. Just really nice stuff. I'm really impressed with this one. Again, there's lots of intricate detailing in terms of the armour that they captured really nicely, and they could have so easily have missed that. Brilliant dry brushing, brilliant paint application, and just some really wonderful sculpting texture to make this thing look really aged and gothic. So this is probably one of my favourite figures from the entire line. It's just an iconic looking boy. With this particular release, yeah, it would have been cool to have seen the flame sword, but they did later include that towards the end of the run of the line. It's just a shame that that's a much more sought after figure. It would probably be easy to find an accessory that you can sort of place onto that sword, and funnily enough, the eBay seller that I bought this from included a flame accessory with that. I don't know what this is from, but it attaches really nicely onto his sword, so that's pretty cool. So there are bits like this out there that you can apply. Just absolutely badass. So that's my review of the Witch King of Angmar. Let me know what you guys think of this guy in the comments down below. Did you have this back in the day? Sound off. And while this is me, Daniel Lees 1000, sign out. Thank you very much for watching.
Shabbat.